What if you differentiate sine by I? Not by 1, not by 2, by I, the imaginary number. For ordinary derivatives, sine follows a familiar loop. Sine, cosine, negative cosine, then back again. That repeating pattern hints that differentiation is acting like a rotation. And here is the strange part. What if the order does not jump in whole numbers, but slides smoothly instead? If that is possible, then differentiation is not trapped on the real number line. So now the real question appears. When the order becomes I, where does sine go? Does it stay an ordinary wave, or does it become something new? This final picture gives the first clue. The answer is no longer purely real. It points into the complex plane. We saw the pattern. Sine keeps cycling under ordinary differentiation, and that suggests a hidden rule. Here is that rule. The nth derivative of sine is just sine shifted by n pi over 2. So now we ask the dangerous question. What if n is not an integer at all? What if n is I? To make sense of that, we switch from sine to exponentials. Because exponentials are the perfect functions for differentiation, differentiate e to the ikx once, and you simply multiply by ik. The shape stays the same. That makes exponentials eigenfunctions of the derivative operator. And once you see that, the leap becomes natural. If one derivative gives ik, then a derivative of order alpha should give ik to the alpha. Now, alpha does not have to be real. It can even be complex. Next, rewrite sine using Euler's formula. Sine of x equals e to the ix minus e to the minus ix all over 2I. Now apply the ith derivative to each exponential separately. That produces two strange factors, I to the I and negative I to the I. But these are not meaningless. Using exponential form, I to the I becomes e to the minus pi over 2, while negative I to the I becomes e to the plus pi over 2. Substitute those back in, recombine the two exponentials, and suddenly the whole expression collapses into one clean answer. The ith derivative of sine of x equals sine of x plus pi I over 2. So the mystery is no longer whether the derivative exists. The mystery now is what that imaginary shift actually does. We found that differentiating sine by I becomes sine of x plus pi I over 2. So now the mystery is hidden inside that imaginary shift. When cosine sees I theta, it turns into hyperbolic cosine of theta. And when sine sees I theta, it becomes I times hyperbolic sine of theta. Now set theta equal to pi over 2, and the shift becomes concrete. One part stays real, a stretched sine wave. The other part becomes imaginary, a cosine term. So differentiating by I does not destroy sine. It splits it into a real sine component and an imaginary cosine component. Now we can finally see the payoff. The imaginary order derivative of sine splits into two pieces. A real part, hyperbolic cosine of pi over 2 times sine of x, and an imaginary part, I times hyperbolic sine of pi over 2 times cosine of x. Numerically, that is about 2.509 times sine of x plus 2.301I times cosine of x. So on the graphs, one part still looks like a sine wave, just stretched taller. The other looks like a cosine wave, also stretched, but living in the imaginary direction. When we overlay them, the picture becomes clear. This is no longer a simple phase rotation. An ordinary derivative rotates the wave through its usual cycle, but an imaginary derivative does something richer. It stretches, mixes, and builds a complex combination from sine and cosine. Exponentials reveal the deeper rule. When you take a derivative of order alpha of e to the ikx, the shape does not change. Only the coefficient changes. That is why this idea is bigger than just sine. For sine, the ith derivative becomes a stretched sine term plus an imaginary cosine term. For cosine, it becomes a stretched cosine term minus an imaginary sine term. Why do they mix like that? Because sine and cosine are both built from the same two exponentials, e to the ix and e to the minus ix. They use the same ingredients but recombine them differently. And that means imaginary order differentiation is not a strange one-time trick. It is a real operator acting on familiar functions in a consistent way. The answer is now clear. The ith derivative of sine is sine of x plus pi I over 2. So this is not 0, and it is not just another ordinary trig shift. At order 0, you get the original sine. At order 1, you get cosine. But at order I, the result becomes a complex mixture, a stretched sine term plus an imaginary cosine term. And that reveals the bigger rule. A derivative of order alpha shifts sine by pi alpha over 2. When alpha is real, that looks like phase rotation. When alpha is imaginary, it becomes stretching and mixing in the complex plane. So, imaginary derivatives are not nonsense. They extend differentiation into a new direction. Thanks for watching.